In 2021 and in 2022, states and local governments across the country will redraw electoral districts based on the results of the 2020 consensus. Redistricting will have an immense impact on our democracy, influencing who wins elections and who is at the table when laws are considered and what laws are passed, which leads us in today's essential question, which is as redistricting occurs across the nation, what steps should the federal government be taking to ensure fair voting is for all Americans? In many ways, this redistricting cycle will be the most challenging ever. An increasing diverse electoral has transformed the American political landscape, but also set the stage for backlash, especially against the growing political power communities of color. For the first time in 6 decades, the redistricting process will take place without crucial protections on the Voting Rights Act. On top of that, a 2019 Supreme Court decision has opened the door to even more partisan gerrymandering, which leads me on what should the federal government do? Well, they should stop the governors from locking up power, or the state from locking up power, and stop the extreme partisan gain. And by these two factors, we can stop the splitting of communities, which ensures the gerrymandering process. I'll break this down first. The locking up of power. Until the Proposition 11 was passed in 2008, California's redistricting system was controlled by the state legislature. Under the system, after the 2000 census, the major political parties effectively decided to call a truce and to keep the congressional incumbents of both parties safe from effective changes. Many incumbents each paid a consultant at least $20,000 to have their districts custom designed for safety. As one member of Congress explained, $20,000 is nothing to keep your seat. I spend $2 million campaigning every year. My colleagues are smart. They'll pay their $20,000 and our consultant will draw the district they will win in. Those who have refused to pay, God help them. In the next election, every single incumbent, Republican and Democrat, won by more than 20%, except for those whose margin of victory was 19%, which shows you that we shouldn't allow these representatives in these states be able to lock up power by simply just paying $20,000. And simply that, the federal government should come in and overstep these rules and set up a federal standard or law, which leads me into the extreme partisan game. In North Carolina is a deeply divided purple state. In 2008, the presidential race split 50-50 in 2012. It split 51 to 49 in 2016. It split 52 to 48. But when the state legislature, unilaterally controlled by the Republicans, sought to redraw congressional lines in 2016 after a court struck down an earlier plan, the committee chair said, "I propose that we draw the maps to give a partisan advantage to 10 Republicans and 3 Democrats. Why such a lopsided result? Because I do not believe it's possible to draw a map with 11 Republicans and 2 Democrats," he said. And in Maryland in 2011, Democrats aimed in opposition direction. The Democratic governor who drew the map that was then ratified by the Democratic legislator testified that he set out to drive borders in a way that was favorable to the Democratic Party. And they were successful, lavishing particular attention on a district in Western Maryland to ensure that Democrats won 7 of the state's 8 congressional seats, which shows you that these parties, whether Republican or Democrat, are unilaterally using their party as a gain, and those in office or an incumbent using their position and their political party to reelect themselves, and furthermore get other people within their same party reelected, which shows that the federal government must put a stop to this issue. And by doing so, they need to stop the extreme partisan game and not allow these governors to sign off or let legislators put into action these redistricting plans. And this leads me into my last point, which is the splitting of communities. In 1992, race riots in Los Angeles took a heavy financial toll on businesses in many neighborhoods, including the area known as Koreatown. When residents of Koreatown appealed to their elected representatives for assistance with the cleanup and recovery effort, however, each of their purported representatives claimed that the area was really a part of some other official's district. The redistricting map had fractured Koreatown, a area barely over 1 square mile, into 4 council districts and 5 state assembly districts. As a result, no legislator felt responsible to the Asian American community, which shows by this extreme gerrymandering that it breaks up these communities. And I want to further go into another breaking of communities, like particularly in education, where this is the same thing, although it's in education, is that in gerrymandering, for example, in education, where they broke off, they redrew lines to separate the poor and the rich, and advocated those funding to the poor. So the poor would live in a particular area, and they would draw around the poor and draw around the rich, so that the rich people could go to the rich schools and the poor people could go to the poor school. So the same thing is happening here, as at a much bigger scale with politics on whether who gets an office, and in some cases it breaks out communities as well. Which lastly, I want to end with this. In many ways, because redistricting can have such a direct impact on incumbents' electoral fortunes, it is among the most personal issues of legislature, with every change in the lines a great favor of piercing slight. Goodwill poisoned by the redistricting process can spill over into the entire rest of the legislation term. So, as redistricting occurs across the nation, what steps should the federal government be taking to ensure fair voting for all Americans? Well, stop allowing governors and these people that have these personal issues lock up power, and in the sense that they gain extreme partisan gain by being the incumbent. And furthermore, don't the government should do this because it is splitting up these communities. Thank you.